So in this video, we are going to talk about the Harappan civilization. We will be seeing 6 things. First, we will start with the introduction, then we'll see the main features of this Harappan civilization, followed by the social life of Harappan civilization, economic life of Harappan civilization, religious life of Harappan people, and at the end, we will analyze the causes behind the decline of Harappan civilization. So getting started with the introduction, that how this civilization was basically discovered. So in 1921, the first crucial excavation was done by Rai Bahadur Dayaram Saini, who was then an official of Archaeological Survey of India. He was also later made the Director General of this particular organization. So he discovered the ruins of Harappa in West Punjab, modern day Pakistan, on the bank of Ravi River in 1921. Here you can see the image of Rai Bahadur Dayaram Saini. Then in the next year, 1922, Mr. Rakhal Das Banerjee from Banaras Hindu University dug up the ruins of Mohenjo-daro, which was termed as Mound of Dead in Sindhi language, which was used by localites. So these two excavations were very crucial, and they provided concrete evidence for a new civilization. And we can say that only after these two important excavations of Rai Bahadur Saini, Harappa, and Rakhal Das Banerjee of Mohenjo-daro, we can say that a new civilization was discovered. And in 1921, officially, Sir John Marshall, who was then Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, announced regarding this particular civilization. So this civilization came into existence by these means. Now moving towards the extent of Harappan civilization, that how long it was spread. So the Indus Valley civilization included more than 250 centers of the Harappan culture. Harappan culture preceded the Harappan civilization, and as compared to Harappan culture, Harappan civilization had 250 more centers. Okay, so the influence of this culture or this civilization, we can say, was extended to northwest frontier province, modern day Pakistan, Punjab, Balochistan, Sindh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh, even to certain extent in Afghanistan too, because this site, Shortugai, is a Harappan site and it is located in modern day of Afghanistan. Now coming to the next thing, that how long this Harappan civilization existed. So the period is between 2500 BC to 1500 BC. So recent radiocarbon tests by Indian archaeologists put the period of Indus Valley civilization from 2500 BC to 1500 BC, and it was followed by Vedic civilization. Now coming to the important sources of information. So we do not have any helpful literary sources because we have not deciphered the Harappan script yet, but archaeological evidences are somewhat important. So one of the important structures, the Great Bath, the Citadel, the Seals, the Bearded Man, the Dancing Girl, the Dockyard, the script, these all are to be discussed in the later part of this lecture. So these all are the archaeological sources which provide us much detail into this Harappan civilization. But let me tell you that much detail is still to be figured out. Many of the things are not figured yet, and it is the job of you people to figure it out. Now coming to the features of this Harappan civilization, we are going to start with urban planning. The Harappans lived in well-planned towns, means towns were well-planned, be it Lothal, be it Mohenjo-daro, be it Harappa, be it Kalibangan. Every city was well-planned. The cities had proper drainage system and the roads were laid down in grid pattern. What do we mean by grid pattern? Means roads were bisecting or intersecting each other at 90 degree. You can see this image is of road of the city of Mohenjo-daro. This road is going ahead and it is here being intersected by another road on 90 degree. So this is basically how the roads can be laid out in grid pattern. Now towns were usually divided into two parts. Here you can see the image of Mohenjo-daro. This is basically a 3D diagram, 3D map of Mohenjo-daro. This is upper part which was named as Citadel, and this was lower part. Usually the town was fortified. Here you can see Mohenjo-daro was fortified, and every other town usually was fortified. If not completely, then at least the upper portion was fortified. And the bricks were made in standardized ratio of 1:2:4. Regarding irrespective of their sizes, the ratio of height is to breadth is to length was always 1:2:4. So these were some of the evidence of urban planning. Why it is so important? Because urban planning is one of the most distinctive feature of urban civilization, because the contemporary civilization of this Indus Valley civilization, like Mesopotamia, like Egyptian civilization, the Chinese civilization, nowhere this kind of urban planning existed. Now coming to the next feature, which was the drainage system. So Harappan people were well aware of health and sanitation, and since Because of this issue, they had proper drainage system connected to each and every household. Here you can see the remnants of houses, and each of the houses were connected to the drains, and the drains were covered with loose bricks for the purpose of cleansing. Now coming to the next feature, which is of domestic architecture. Many dwelling houses have also been discovered. These ranges from two-roomed cottages to palatial buildings, and also you must know that Harappan civilization also had multi-story building, two-story building, three-story buildings. Now coming to the domestic architecture, each house had a bathroom, a kitchen, and a courtyard. Here you can see the courtyard. This perhaps can be bathroom, and here you can see the staircases. This is a staircase, this is a staircase, means this is the terrace part. So each house was also connected to drain, and Harappans also took care of privacy in building houses, because you can see the gateway does not open directly in the courtyard, and these walls which were adjacent to the roads, no windows were laid down there. So they also took care of the privacy in building houses. So this was basically their construction sense. We can say that they were much civilized than their posterity, upcoming generations. Now coming to the next feature, which is of Mohenjo-daro, which is of upper city of Mohenjo-daro, which was Great Bath. Great Bath discovered that Mohenjo-daro was the most imposing building, and it was an open quadrangle mist and rectangular architecture. Here you can see the Great Bath, a kind of swimming pool, and the walls of the pool were made watertight using burnt bricks, mortar, bitumen, and gypsum. Usually, it is speculated that there was a periodic cleaning of the pool, and since it was used on ceremonies and on a special occasion, the periodic cleaning became obvious. Two staircases were also laid down in the north to south direction. You can see here north and in the south, two staircases leading towards the bottom of this great bath was also made. Now coming to the next feature, which was the great granary. Granary have also been discovered in the multiple cities of Harappan civilization like Harappa, Lothal, Kalibangan, and Mohenjo-daro. These granary can be used to store grains for the purpose of emergency. So this is basically the evidence of granary in the city of Harappa. Now coming to the next feature, which was of the assembly hall. We have also found a remarkable structure in Mohenjo-daro which has multiple pillars. You can see multiple pillars. So it is speculated that perhaps it was used for royal purposes. Now coming to the next feature, which is of the citadel and the cottage. Citadel was situated on a higher level because towns were divided into two parts. This is the lower town. Here flood can reach, but here in the upper town flood could not reach. So in the citadel, the members of ruling class or the elite classes of society worked and lived. This is basically speculated by the archaeologists, and a spot resembling marketplace and two-room cottage in the rows, looking like modern coolie lines and jute mills, have also been discovered. So it also provide evidence of a proper marketplace. So these all were the important features of Harappan civilization, be it the citadel, be it the Great Bath, the drainage system, the town planning, and the domestic architecture. Now we are going to move towards the social life. And before we should see, this is the image of Mohenjo-daro. Here you can see the mound-like architecture, and this is basically the Great Bath.
So now we will look at the social life of the Harappan civilization. The social classification. There were no absolute proof that the Harappan people had the Varna or the caste system. However, excavation showed that at that time different groups comprising the ruling class, the business class, the merchants, peasants, and artisans or tribal people were there who supplied honey, fish, firewood, and wild fruits formed in the society. But there were no clear indication of any caste or Varna system during the Harappan period. Next up was the dietary practices. The Harappan people ate both plant products as well as animal products. The plant products include the wheat, barley, lentil, sesame, millets, and chickpeas, whereas the animal products include the fish, boar, deer, the alligator, or the gharial. Although there were no signs or indications of hunting of these animals in that period, but the Harappan people used to consume them. Next up is the dress. From the scriptures, it appears that the men wore two pieces of clothing which looked more like dhoti and shawl, whereas women wore two pieces of clothing which resembled blouse and a long skirt. The ornaments, yes, in Harappan civilization also, both men and women used to wear different ornaments, which includes necklaces, finger rings, armlets, etc. Makeup was there in the Harappan civilization also. The women knew how to make different hairstyles. They also applied makeup such as lipstick, kajal, and perfumes. Next was the entertainment. For the entertainment, the Indus Valley people were fond of the indoor games such as the marble or the dice. For the recreation, people used to sing and dance.
Now coming to the economic life. The agriculture was main occupation of the people, and they grew cereal crops like wheat, barley, rice, sesame, lentil. The most remarkable finding was the cotton plant, and they used to do plough architecture because we have had the evidence of plough from Panavali. This is the evidence of terracotta plough. So we can say that okay, they used to have the sense of plough making in toy. So it is possible that they might have used this in agriculture as well. So they used to do plough agriculture, as we have found the evidence of terracotta plough in Banavali, Haryana. And also we have found an evidence of furrowed field in Kalibangan, Rajasthan. You can see the evidence of furrowed field. This is a modern style of agriculture. Now coming to the trade. So trade was highly developed and prosperous activity. It was carried out on both via land and sea. The main items of trade were metals except iron, because iron was not known till the Vedic age. So apart from metals, they used to trade precious stones, shells, ivory, cotton, and bones. The people carried on the trade through barter system, so there was no monetary exchange. Besides inland trade, there was trade by sea. We can also see the evidence of ship. The discovery of Harappan seals with other objects show that Indus Valley civilization had trade relations with Crete, Greece, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Sumeria, Babylonia, and the people of Bahrain and Oman as well. So they had a wider trade relation with the rest of the world. Here you can see one of the dockyards which is located in Lothal. Lothal is said to be one of the important dockyard, one of the important port of Harappan civilization. Now coming to the next thing, which is weights and measures. So there were set of cubicles and conical shaped weights. The basic unit of measurement was 16 and it was equal to about 15 grams in modern times. The smaller weights were cubical in shape. Here you can see the smaller weights, and this is metal scale pan, which was also discovered in the city of Harappan civilization. And weights were usually made up of a special stone called chert. So they were not made up of straight iron, instead they were made up of chert, meaning a stone. Now coming to the next thing, which is transport. Boats were used for inland water transport, and there are pictures of ships on the some of the seals. Here you can see the picture of ship on Harappan seal. Bullock carts were used for trade by land. Here you can see an image of terracotta bullock cart. Camels and donkeys were also used to carry goods apart from bullock carts. So these were some means of transport regarding the trade in Harappan civilization. Now coming to the art and crafts. So there were weavers, potters, stone cutters, masons, metal workers, jewelers, etc. And they used to produce finest of the art during this Harappa civilization. Now coming to the art of spinning and weaving. So we have the evidence of spindle holes and a piece of woven cloth have been discovered at Mohenjo-daro and in other cities also. So we can say that artists who had the sense of spinning and weaving were also there, and they used to produce masterpieces. Now coming to the art of terracotta. So craftsmen made seals of terracotta, models from terracotta, figurines and toys of terracotta, like we have seen bullock cart as a toy. Here you can see some of the image bullock cart, terracotta bullock cart. This is some of the figurines. This is one of the most important terracotta figurine, which is named as Mother Goddess. Now coming to the next thing, which is art of pottery. The pottery of Harappan civilization is most distinctive feature of this civilization. The potter designed pots, jars, and vases of different sizes with different designs on them. Here you can see some of the pottery. If you want to see them live, go to the National Museum, which is located in Delhi, where each and everything regarding the Harappan civilization is stored there for the viewers to come. Then the next thing is art of jewelry making. The Indus Valley goldsmiths used to make exquisite pieces of jewelry. Ornaments were also designed in silver, copper, bronze, ivory shells, and even in the bones also. They were made up of different elements like silver, copper, bronze, ivory shells, and even from the bones. Now coming to the sculpture. So two types of sculptures were made during the Harappan civilization, one from the metal and one from the stone. So in the metal, one of the best example of a sculpture in metal in the Harappan civilization is that of a dancing girl, which is made up of bronze. Here you can see in the screen the image of dancing girl. Then we also have evidences of a sculpture in stone. So two most remarkable finds in Harappa, that of the bearded man and male figure, are some of the sculpture which were made up of stone. So now we are moving towards the art of making seals. Now seals were used for multiple purposes. Indus Valley artists made excellent carvings on the seals. The seals were of various shapes like square, oblong, rectangular, or cylindrical. Here you can see on the screen some of the images of Harappan seals. The seals were made from various materials like steatite. Steatite was very popular. Apart from steatite, ivory, terracotta, and agate was also used to make the seals. Now, what was the purpose of seals? So they used to basically throw light on the trading activities of the Harappans. The script of Indus Valley civilization is also basically known from the seals only. The physical appearance of people, the birds and animals, which is depicted on the seals, the religious faiths and beliefs. We have multiple seals which we can say had some religious relevance, like a mother goddess, like a dancing girl, like a proto Shiva seal, which we are going to see in the later part of this video. Apart from the religious faith, it also throw light on the artistic skill of the Harappan people. That's all in the economic life of Harappan people. Now we are moving towards the religious life.
Now, coming to the religious life, Mother Goddess. The worship of a female goddess was very common in the Harappan period. This is understood from the discovery of the terracotta figure of Mother Goddess in and around dwelling houses. This was the figure of the Mother Goddess. Next was the Shiva Pashupati. An interesting find was the common Shiva Pashupati seal. Till date, no temple or place of worship has been discovered. This was the seal found in the Harappan period, which was of the Shiva Pashupati. The worship of trees were there in the Harappan period. The peepal tree seemed to have been the most sacred of all. The dove was regarded as the holy bird of Harappans. This was the peepal tree. Belief in afterlife. The Indus Valley people buried their dead with all their personal belongings. They believed in an afterlife and hence they used to give all the personal belongings to the dead people, such as ornaments and other things which are of the daily uses. The decline of Harappan civilization. The main cause of decline of the Harappan civilization was some of these. It was considered the arrival of the Aryans were the main cause for the decline of the Harappan civilization. There were also other reasons such as regular floods, drought, climate change, deforestation, earthquakes, and epidemics, which were among some of the main causes of the decline of Harappan civilization. We will continue these chapters and these topics in the next video. Thank you.